This is computer.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's Kabbalat Shabbat. And today we are going to have a Devar Torah from Leigh Lewis, and that will be followed by our Kabbalat Shabbat, which Stuart will be leading. So first of all, over to you, Leigh.
Good evening, good afternoon, good Neely Shabbos, everybody. I'm sure there have been some time in our life where we have really wanted a particular item, really wanted something, and we haven't obtained it. For whatever reasons, we haven't obtained it. And the feeling of disappointment is enormous, absolutely enormous. It makes us give up hope. It makes us not care about anything, because whether it was a house, whether it was a car, whether it was a particular person that you wanted to have a relationship with, whatever it may be, I'm sure we've all had that feeling. And so when we look at this week's Sidra of Es Kanun, we have to understand that Moshe Rabbeinu must have been the most incredible of people. The Sidra starts where he begs, literally begs HaKadosh Baruch Hu to allow him to enter into the land because of that one mistake of hitting the rock rather than talking to it. And Hashem's answer is no. Not just no, but no, we're not going to talk about this anymore. This is not up for discussion. You are not going to enter the land. I will take you to a place where you can see the land, but you're never going to enter into it. And in fact, it's all arranged that your next in command, Joshua, is the one who will lead the people into the land. You would expect Moshe to give up hope, to actually not want to carry on anymore, just to literally bury himself, because he must have been so heartbroken and disappointed after all the trials and tribulations that he's been through. And yet, what follows is the most amazing items and episodes in the Sidra, which you could imagine. He reiterates, he repeats to the Bnei Yisrael the Ten Commandments, but he makes some subtle changes. He changes the one about Shabbos from just remembering Shabbos as it appears in the book of Exodus in Sedrit Yitro to keep Shabbos, Shamar. We sing this every week in the first line of Echad Odi, Shamar v'Zachar v'Dibur Echad, that these two words were said as one. But in fact, they're reported separately. The Zachar is in Exodus, and the Shamar to keep is in Devarim, in this week's Sedra. He then goes on and changes just subtly the wordings of some of the other commandments. The one about honoring your parents. The one in Exodus says that you honor your parents for a long life. The one that Moshe tells the people is that you will have a good life, not just a long life, but for a good life in the land, in the land that I will give you. When he talks about not coveting things, he mentions the fact that he puts a person, not just his house and his belongings, he puts another person's wife first. You should not covet your neighbor's wife. Again, when it comes to Shabbos, it's not that we should all just rest. He actually says at the end, which does raise questions as to how our caretaker Mark is allowed to do what he does. It actually says, even your manservant and your maidservant must not work. He's made it all very personal. It's about faith and keeping the faith. It then goes on, later in the Sidra, we have the Shema. Now, not only is Shema about faith and loving God with every ounce of energy and every atom of your body, but he also introduces two other things. He introduces the idea of, let's get this right, he introduces the idea of tefillin, and he introduces the idea of mezuzahs, that everything that you do is to do with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is to do with having faith. He will protect you by putting mezuzahs on the door. And when you pray, specifically in the morning, and you put your tefillin on, you are wrapping yourself, binding to you the words that God has said to you. This is an incredible, absolutely incredible example of total faith. Even though he's had suffering the heartbreak that he is, he just continues to not waver in his faith. It also tells us something which is very unique about Judaism, in that instead of the people, the higher ups, having all the knowledge and being able to dictate to everybody else, the Shema tells us that we have to teach our children these words so that they can teach their children. It is for every one of us to know the words of the Torah so that we can all not just participate and understand what we're doing, so that we can pass it on from generation to generation. It's not so that just the elite are in the know. All of us should be in the know. This Sidra is one of the most amazing examples, not just of faith, but of Moshe Rabbeinu's faith and the humility that he has in suffering probably the greatest heartache he ever could, but still to get the message across to the people, to us, to never waver from our faith, to keep on, if you like, fighting the fight, and to follow Hashem's words so that we will be a light unto the nations, so we will have a good and happy life, so that better things will come in the future. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
That's brilliant, Leigh. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so now we're going to have Kabbalat Shabbat. So, Stuart, I believe you're ready. Welcome.
Leigh, that was very good. Yedi nefesh Avarachaman Meshach Avadecha Evitonecha Yarotavdecha Kamo Ayal Yishtachave Mulhadarecha Yeherav Lo Yedidutecha Mino